Today we're visiting PixelFlakes, an architectural marketing firm based in London. Join us and let's discover together what we can learn from the team. This studio tour is brought to you by Chaos Group. If you enjoy it, thank them in the comments section.
Well, we're PixelFlakes. We're an architectural marketing studio based in London. We're around 30 artists and we specialise in animation, visualisation and interactive. And we've been going since 2012.
We have around 30 people in the company. We have 20 working from London and 10 who work remotely. We have project managers in the studio who run projects and deal with the client relations and making sure that the schedule is kept and all that kind of stuff. Then we have art directors who are in charge of the actual quality of the work. So project managers deal with clients, art directors deal with the quality and the output of the studio. I'm the visualization director, so I kind of attempt to oversee that operation.
Do you still create some visualizations?
No, I mean, when me and Marv started the company, I was making images, so maybe the first 5 or 6 years of the studio I was making a lot more production stuff. Then I was running projects alongside that as well. Then that kind of switched more into just running projects and doing a bit of art direction as well. Then we started to grow the team and we got much better artists than me on board who now deal with the art direction. And I find myself doing more of just project management and sort of overseeing the studio. So not so much production anymore.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, at times I miss it. I guess it's how we started, so obviously I really love the creation of the work and doing more 3D stuff. I found as the company's grown, I do really enjoy the more kind of project management focused side of it and also the business side of it, like growing the company with Marvin is great fun. So I kind of miss it in a way, but I also see that the industry is moving so fast that I kind of feel like it's difficult to keep up with the level that people are working at unless you're doing it on a daily basis, So I miss it in a way, don't in other ways,
Can you describe your studio culture?
So the philosophy of a studio, or this kind of culture of a studio, it's actually really difficult to define in a way. I think defining a culture in a studio is actually, it's a difficult thing to kind of summarize. I remember reading a quote once which said the culture of the studio is defined by the actions of the employees when the leaders aren't there. And I think that's a really interesting quote. I think culture in a way is defined by the day-to-day working of a company and the way in which you interact, the way in which you approach the imagery, But I guess it's up to the team to kind of evolve that. It's not done by one person. So that's interesting. But I guess the culture of a studio we like is a very laid-back studio. I think everyone gets on really, really well. It's like a bit of a family kind of vibe. We're still small enough to have that kind of very nice relationship between everyone in the team, which is great. I guess from a work side, we always try to push the boundaries of what visualization is. And I think more so recently, we've really been trying to push the sketch approach and trying to encourage our clients to think differently about the work which they're asking us to produce. As the industry gets more competitive, standing out is super important. So I guess the work culture is that. We want to stand out. We want to try and make cool work and encourage our clients to think differently about the way they approach working in visualization and how they work with us as well.
How do you help your artists develop the skills?
Yeah, and that's very much a team effort. I think that comes down to project managers encouraging the team to try new things and to push the boundaries of what they're creating. And also the art directors are there to help improve the level of the work that we're doing. But we also do these things called lunch and learns, where we have presentations most Fridays, where we talk to the team and we just try to deliver that message to the team that we want to be different, and that's the whole reason that the sketches are there. So I think it's just discussion, it's repetition amongst the team, and then it's getting continued feedback from art directors, project managers, seniors within the team to make sure that everyone's on a kind of like aligned path.
How do you manage such a big studio?
Like I said, we have around 20 or so people in the London studio, and we have 10 people who work, or roughly 10 people working remotely. And those people are kind of all around the world as well. So we have some people working in Egypt, we have 3 guys, we have a guy working in India, we have people in Belgium and Spain and France as well. So we have quite a lot of people working remotely, which is obviously something that only came around because of COVID. It's something we'd never done before then. So that was kind of a new thing for us, and it's actually been a really smooth kind of process. I don't think that managing people abroad has been overly difficult to managing people in the team, especially when you can do screen shares and calls and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't really change very much. We just check in on a daily basis. We make sure that all of the project briefings that we have are always done over video calls, so that sometimes it's a bit weird doing a video call with someone sitting right next to you, but it's important to include everyone who's working remotely as well. So yeah, I guess the actual challenges are more just in the communication, but I wouldn't say it's something that's overly difficult. It doesn't surprise me that more companies are shifting actually to a fully remote kind of work environment. I don't think the need for the office is overly important from a production standpoint, but it's really important from a cultural one, which I think is the reason why we still have this studio. We have our server, our internal server over here, and we have all of the PCs in the office. So the remote workers usually don't have a super powerful PC. They will instead remote connect into our studio here. So we have all of their PCs on desks. Sometimes they come over as well. They come and visit us, so they have their dedicated workspace and they remote connect into that. And then once they're connected to that PC, they have the same access as everyone else. So they can access the server, the files, all of the asset library and that kind of thing as well. So yeah, as long as we have a super fast internet connection. So as long as they have a fast internet connection on their side, it's pretty seamless.
Do they experience any lagging?
Not from the European gang. The guys who are working in Egypt every so often they have little bouts of lag, but I don't think it's to a point where it's an issue.
What software do you use for that?
For the connections, we use Splashtop and Parsec. Yeah, Splashtop and Parsec. Yeah.
What is the management to artist ratio?
So in the studio we have 3 project managers, including myself, so me, Pedro and Valet. We then have 2 art directors, but they also produce imagery as well. So as far as the relationship between artists who are producing and aren't producing, I would say we have 25 or so artists, and maybe 22 of them are making images. It's really just for project managers who sometimes jump on and off of production, and occasionally the art directors as well will be more kind of just overseeing quality and not necessarily producing their own work. So yeah, the vast majority of artists are producing work.
What are the artist's responsibilities?
Yeah, so artists are responsible for everything. So from the very beginning of a project to the very end of a project, they'll do everything. So sketching, the drafts and getting to the final as well. So we don't split the actual production of a shot between different people. So it's all, everyone does their own thing. I guess, the interns are there to help support, so they don't necessarily make images. And the seniors are also there to help support others. So their kind of role is not just in the creation of their own image, but also making sure everyone else is getting help as well. Yeah.
What challenges are you facing managing such a large company?
So managing a company of around 30 comes with challenges. I think when we first started, it was Matt and me in a bedroom, in his sister's old bedroom actually. It was fun. We were playing games in between trying to get clients, but times have changed. And I think as the company grows, it's all about seeing how you can kind of serve the company in the best light. So when we were around the kind of 5 to 10 employees, eventually, we started taking on people. We would get these really awesome projects, and Matt and me would kind of work away into the night working on these projects, making sure that they looked as awesome as they could. But you're almost a group of artists working together. There's no infrastructure to sustain, I suppose, growth in the long run. And I think for us, the main switch came at around, I suppose, the 15 to 20 people mark. So we've been going for around 11 to 12 years, and I think our growth has been exponential. So it was very organic because of that approach of seeing ourselves as almost artists within the company. But recently, what we've realized is, as the company grows, there is a need for infrastructure. There is a need for roles like business development. I was always in charge of client development and relations. However, it was never really my full focus. That has only been something which has kind of progressed and migrated in the last few years. So the challenge is, I suppose, growing and ensuring that you see the needs of the company and that you're doing the tasks that only you can do. So working on the business instead of in it, which has been fun but challenging for sure. In terms of our infrastructure, what we've set up then is now with our team of 30, we have 2 full-time business development people, so myself and Lauren. Lauren actually joined us as an office manager 7 or 8 years ago, and what we realized as well is that her knowledge of the company as that's grown has been perfect for understanding business development and the aspects that come with that. So not just winning the work, but explaining to clients how we work, educating them on our process so that there's no kind of false expectations of what they're going to get from us, and yeah, fostering relationships. And then there's also the side of as you grow, you need to ensure that you're building culture, because why does an artist want to come and work at PixelFlakes, and why do they want to stay at PixelFlakes? Those are interesting questions that we actively work on. And so my business partner Matt, his role is visualization director, and he predominantly looks at the infrastructure of the team. So we have project managers, we have art directors, him as a visualization director, and even now we're thinking about new roles that will help build the team and sustain the growth and ensure that we have consistency so that we're around for the next 5, 10, 20 years. That's the goal. That also comes with the challenges of ensuring that the work that's incoming is right. So the clients that we work with, I think the first job that we ever worked on was a sanitary museum or a toilet museum for Yaya architects in Denmark. I remember Matt and me working on 2 little computers. I was doing an image, he was doing one, and it was a two-set image, but times have changed. I believe that was a project that we did for, I think it was like 1,200 euros back in the day for both images. And we now as a company can't afford to work at those rates because they don't cover the overheads, they don't cover the salaries. We're in a prime city in Europe. We need to ensure that the clients that we work with grow with the company as well. So that also means that we aren't just working with architects or star architects. I think there's also a stigma that the cooler the design, the less budget they have, right? So it's like I think a lot of these star architects, they know that visualizers kind of want to work with them. They're almost like coveted, the moody shots, the big towers, and that kind of stuff. We want to work on those for sure, but we also want to know our worth and figure out, what do we bring to the table that potentially a visualization studio in a different area with lower overheads, that can afford to work at 1,200 euros. Well, what's the difference between PixelFlakes and them? Because on face value, obviously, I believe that our work is amazing, but a client may not have that same eye for detail, and they may not see that difference in exactly the same way. So I believe the worth that we bring is ensuring that we kind of think alongside our clients. So we're not offering just products, but we're also offering services. A product is an image, it's an animation, it's an app, it's a website. A service is a consultant coming alongside at the beginning of a project. We're working a lot with master planners nowadays as well, who have very early visioning concept ideas, And it's about coming in and saying, well, you know, I know you don't have time to design all the architecture, but potentially, you know, this is the mood that you're going for, or let's design to the view, because more often than not, a visual is the face value of the project. So all the specific technical details are, even though they're important for the client, at the end of the day, they are just showing the images to investors. So they're extremely important to get right. And a lot of the guys here are architects as well, and being able to use that kind of knowledge to offer that service to clients is where we try to push to. So yeah, working more with master planners, developers, still architects when they have the budgets, but definitely not for 1,200 euros. That's the goal of where I see PixelFlakes going, and Matt as well, for sure.
How do you see PixelFlakes in the future?
I think the growth of PixelFlakes is always interesting. We've got very good accountants that work with us, and they position themselves as strategic business development with us as well. So we have monthly meetings, quarterly meetings, we set targets financially, but both personal growth goals that Matt and I have, goals for the company. And I think our perception has definitely changed since COVID, because we always thought, right, we're going to build a London office. We had plans to expand into New York. We were very close into actually moving into New York in the year that COVID happened. And I think in hindsight, I'm grateful that we didn't, because firstly, we're able to build a single office, which is almost like a hub. I mean, our neighbours moved out of the office next door, and we used that as an expansion plan. But we've also realised that artists don't all necessarily want to be in an office all day, and that was a painful realization sometimes, maybe a little bit something that we held on to, but I think it's important to have a headquarters that we're all kind of coming to, but we allow for work from home days. We also have artists that work with us full-time from abroad, and you know, where their skills are high enough to warrant that, we have no problem with that at all. So the advantages that also has is that the overheads are a little bit lower, and so as PixelFlakes expands from an infrastructure perspective, it may well be that we open up more offices abroad, and we work with smaller hubs, as long as we can ensure that there's a unified language and a quality across the work. I don't see that as an issue. But definitely expanding from a visualization studio in itself to marketing is where we want to be. So offering multiple services to clients, being consultants, being useful to them very early on in the project is, that's where we see PixelFlakes going.
Next, let's find out how they manage their projects.
So what I can say about project management in PixelFlakes, I would say I will highlight 3 key points, which are connecting with the clients, very important, understanding the design, and communication with the team. I think those 3 key elements are crucial on how we manage projects in PixelFlakes. I can detail a tiny bit those 3 points very shortly. Connecting with the client is very important to understand them, to create a relationship, and to establish confidence. You know, if the client has some confidence on you, the workflow and the process is much smoother. Then understanding the design is part of the understanding the client as well, and the connecting with them. The trust is there, so you're part also in the design process. And last is the constant communication with the team inside over here, our team, and also the team on their side, because things are evolving constantly. So we need to keep that bridge steady and on to keep the flow of communication, to keep the flow of the project.
What's your workflow?
So yeah, regarding the workflow, it's basically correlation between the points that I highlighted before. So I would say that we have a very strong client brief initially, with all the ideas that they have in mind. Then we translate that client brief within a team brief and brainstorm, because how we can do that is by translating the client initial ideas, that putting on top of our table, dissecate them, distribute them, shuffling them to have different perspectives. So those two are crucial. And the third point, once again, is constant communication. If we have that constantly communication within the team, making sure that we don't lose any of that connection with the design and the process, I think we'll have a very good product in the end. And the workflow is quite structured in a way that we kind of establish the different areas or the different narratives that we want to explore within different artists, and then we present them to the client to see if we are in the same page. Because managing expectations is crucial on the workflow. Workflow is where we are kind of to discover new things. You're on the wave, you're starting to discover new nuances of the design, of the interpretation of the concept and the storytelling, that you need constantly to revise it between your eyes, fresh eyes for the other team members, art directors, crucial over there, and then the client as well. So they don't detach of this project, we don't break it. As again, bridges.
What are the most challenging projects for you?
The most challenging projects are the most rewarding ones. And the rewarding here has to do with the challenge that you need to overtake. And the overtaking of challenges has also to do with the difficulties on the design, on the process that you have in front of you. And if you don't have anything super interesting to talk about, if you make something out of it, that is where those expectations and that where you kind of exceed yourself, because you bring something to the table that elevated the product in the end. Because in the end, we are always, as a customers, everybody is a customer of any single product. You are expecting something out of it, of a collaboration, or not even a product. I would say even a consultancy. A lawyer, for instance, you go to a lawyer, you are expecting something that the lawyer is going to solve for you. That expectation that you have in mind needs to be tied with the supplier of that product. If that is exceeded, everybody's super happy. The point is to trying to match. Minimum is trying to match it. If we exceed it, it's brilliant. And it's easier to have that satisfaction when you have less interesting stuff to talk about, because that gap is much higher. Out of a single small box in the pot of a white table, you can make crazy shots. Well, it's amazing. Exceeded a lot. When you have super interesting stuff, amazing concepts, there the level is quite high. It's difficult because the expectations are quite super high. So you need to manage that thing. You need to kind of pull them down and say, nah, maybe this is not the correct approach. Maybe we need to kind of lower the expectations in order to kind of exceed them a tiny bit. But yeah, I mean, every single project is different. Every single people think differently. So it's always challenging in the end,
Does your architectural background help you with project management?
Absolutely, because I had the same indication with that they had. So for 6 years or so, I was on the same tables, on the same desks, doing the same physical models, drawings, concepts, discussion with the tutors, concepts, constantly designing stuff. So we have the same background. It's just quite interesting. If you met someone with exactly the same background, you tie immediately with them, because they don't know. You drop some key words that in the architectural schools people will drop. You drop like the effort of making a physical model. The cut yourself is a connection immediately there. And if we have the mindset connection, you are on the same boat, and it's easier to communicate immediately with the people. Overall, it's the same happens with the same if we are from the same country. You have something in common immediately, the same culture, the same ideas, the same temperatures, the same food. It's always something that you can talk about. If you meet someone else from huge different part of the world, you don't have anything in common, and you need to connect those bridges. So you need to, okay, how you work? Okay, do you think like this? Oh no, I think like that. It's challenging, but it's easier if you have the same background, definitely. Both of the ways, and I'm saying this, but both of the ways, if you are not architect doing architecture visualization, is not a big factor, because it's always needed fresh eyes. Otherwise, I know, because architects are super focused on details. constantly. They know the details, every single detail by heart of the single entirety of the building, and they want to make sure that that is visible. So the thing is to try to detach that architect for those details, because that nothing is going to construct upon those images. You're just trying to communicate what was initially in the beginning of the process. And that the initial beginning of the process is the first year of architecture, basically, that you are just starting to dream. And we need to bring those architects and the clients, and even the developers, they are not architects, they're more business focused, but we need to bring them to that initial kid that was developing some concept in the first year of university. And it's where you need to bring that idea of that design, put in front of the table to communicate to people that don't have any architecture background, and the public overall.
Next, let's talk with Kasem, who was brought here to set up an animation team. How have you approached this task?
Since the first day I joined here, I had a talk with Marvin and Matt about we need to have a very clear and precise structure and for the team, of course, and then we need to have a very precise process as well and defined that makes us know exactly at what step we are and how we are communicating with our clients and how they are interacting with our projects as well. Because it's very important to keep the client engaged, but also to be able to know where we are at what step of our project we are. So we decided to have this scheme, which is following more or less the structure from video industry, like movies or even now YouTube content creators, because you have this type of storyboarding and then you have to execute that storyboard and stuff like that.
What does your process look like?
In our process, we have it like this. We have a briefing with the client. We know their expectation. We want to know exactly what is the goal of that animation, what is the key areas in that animation, what is the goal of all of that. Then we go through research on our part. Each person of the team will do a research about the project, about the site, about everything about that project. And then we go through a brainstorming session, which is like this. Give me first ideas you have, how you see this project. We need like 30 minutes only. We are not trying to bring philosophy into it. We are trying to bring first ideas, fresh ideas. We take those ideas, we melt them down into something we call it concept, or the idea of the main project. It's just the concept. It's like even in movies, even in games, video games, everywhere, it's like just a concept. It starts from a concept and then you build up on that. So you go into the story with a concept that you want to have it built. Like, for example, let's say Mario and Luigi, the game. The concept is easy. You have like a villain and a superhero that will protect the queen. Okay, but how you build on that? Then, okay, we have levels. Okay, each level have castle, each level have this detail, and you start to detail the enemies and you start to enter details. So it's always about starting from big into smaller, smaller, smaller. And it's always the case, not only with the storyboard, actually even with the execution of the project, the technical part as well. You start with the bigger details and you go smaller. It's always the case with, I think with any artistic domain, it's the same. It's always the case. So yeah, we go like this, the concept part, and then we go into selecting music. It's very important to have it in mind since the start of the project. Especially that we are not like huge budget like the movie industry that you can bring a compositor into your project. So we need to find the good music from any provider that gives royalty free music, and then we use that to assess how is the rhythm of the animation and what the sequence cut speeds and stuff like that can be. Once we finish that, we prepare the model. We need to have a very good base model, clean, very responsive model. So we sometimes do remodeling, we sometimes do reorganizing for the model until we have a very solid model. Then that model, we take it into screenshots just to have the position, the camera we need, and then we build it into a storyboard. And that storyboard, then we decide the camera movements that we want to test with. Then we do some clay previews. Those clay previews will be then after we animate the cameras, and we assemble them into an edit. And we give it a look for that edit, and then we decide, okay, we decided good camera movements, or no, we need to change this camera movement, we need to change that camera movement. So it gives us more freedom of how we do things, but it's still, we try to limit the testing thing. We try to prepare ourselves to what we are doing. It's like the movie industry. in the movie industry, actually, they go into the set, everything is ready. Everyone knows exactly what he's going to do. They just go, set, ready, execute. We still have some freedom of testing because of the type of medium we are working with, the virtual reality. So we still do some testing, but we try to go into it with the minimum amount of testing needed. And with much more preparation and much more planning, because that's the way you can also get better timings and you can be delivering faster results, which the clients always need. And also you have to be mindful about the client needs since day one. So you get a better result at the end of it and the client is more satisfied. So once we do this animated clay previews with the edit, this will be shared with the client. And then the client will decide if they like this cut or they need some changes here and there. Once it's approved from the client, we go and do a rendered draft, which will include lighting, include simulations, includes everything. Once that's approved with the comments, we go back, we do those comments, and then we achieve the final result, which is then rendered with the highest quality and the best settings possible, and then that's a happy day for everybody when it's final.
What software do you use?
Now it's very important also to talk about the tools we are using, because we use a lot of tools. Mainly we use, for rendering, we use V-Ray from Gauss. We use also, it's very important for us, the whole suite from Gauss is very important for us because it offers a lot of flexibility. It's very well connected with other plugins like, or small softwares. I would like to call it a small software, like Phoenix. We use a lot of Phoenix for water simulations, and it's very important with smoke simulations, with this type of simulations. It's very easy to use, actually, it's very intuitive, and it gives the artist a lot of freedom and power to do some things that a few years ago were like impossible to think about. You know? So this for the main tools that we are using, but also we are using a lot of secondary tools, like we are using Tyflow recently. It's a very important tool as well. We are using lots of small plugins for materials, for things to automate our workflow and stuff like that. And we also have the other part out of 3D. So we use, for now, we use Adobe Suite for editing and for color balancing and for like After Effects and Premiere, a combination between these two programs, and also what comes with it as plugins needed, like for flickering or for eliminating noise and this type of programs. We keep it simple. I think it's the idea is always keep it simple and keep curious and ask people. We are always trying to learn from each other. We are always trying to learn from our clients. It's always the process of new challenges and trying to find solutions for those challenges. It's always like that. So when you keep your mind open and you keep new ideas, new programs, new workflows, it's the goal always to be up to date and to be open-minded. Like this, I think this is a good way of seeing the world, and that's sure success, I think. You can be always successful with this mindset.
How PixelFlakes evolved? What is your biggest strength?
PixelFlakes as a whole, it's really growing in the sense of is adapting, is evolving when time, with time. So if you think, for example, that a couple of years ago the office was half the size. So before we were just in that room over there, and in the span of 2 years we expanded to this side. We hired more than 10 people. We have now people that work remotely. We have the possibility to work from home. So really the office is growing in many levels. On one sense, in terms of people, so the team is bigger, but also in the sense of the products that we offer. offer. So like we have now the animation team, and then we now we work like a bit more, like we tend to do like more like animated stills, so like little movies. We do have like a little side of like branding or verified views that we do. So in time, like I think one of the biggest strength of PixelFlakes is definitely the ability to adapt and to change. So like we're not static even in the workflow. So bringing new people means that we always review the way we do things. So if this means like changing from the library to the way we work, we always tell to new people like whatever like you feel should be done or could be done differently or more efficiently, let us know, and then we're going to review everything we're doing, and then we're going to like upgrade. So definitely this is a big strength, I think, for a company, especially in a context in which many other companies are growing and are in the market. To make us competitive, we are trying to diversify not only the products but also the way we work.
What do you think about the future of the industry? How do you see it will change, and how do you adapt to the circumstances?
That's a big topic because I don't know you guys, but like we always like search what's the newest tool, like everything like is going very fast. So I think definitely in the near future, like we're gonna have to face these changes. So I feel that there's so many new tools like that we are testing. So the good thing of being a company like us is that we have the chance to test sometimes like software in beta. So for example, we tested like AI generated cutouts, for example. It is something like we really like had the chance to try that, test and like give the feedback like to the team that is working on that. So we're not scared of the changes. Clearly like this would mean that in the future we'll need to change the way we work thing. Like probably these tools will be introduced like in the workflow, but right now we're just like informing ourselves, like checking like what's going on, and like instead of like changing everything straight away, because I think it's too early days, like it's too early in time to complete like change, like the way we work. But definitely it's influencing us in some of the things we do, like definitely mood boards, references, like finding ideas. These tools are great for these things. And now that some of these tools are more integrated, and they will be like, for example, in Photoshop, with Photoshop Beta, like we're already testing that and we have that. So yeah, like Matt and Marvin, like both of them, like they're not scared of testing things, like download new softwares. Like they're really like the first one saying like, yeah, you want to try it, like we can like download, like we can like work with it, and then if it works, then surely we are gonna like share with the team and then see how we can introduce that.
What's your approach to sharing your work on social media?
So to me, the social media activities is strictly related to the arch-viz process. For me, it's just a kind of extension of the job that we already do. It's not a different kind of job. So if you make images for your client, then you can wait to show those images also to the artist receiving feedback. We really want to show maybe some behind the scene works on some sketches that we are really proud of. And actually, this is the most exciting like activities that we can do through socials, because basically we are showing what we really do, what we are, our ideas and concepts. Of course, not all the images that we send to the client that they are complete, we can share, because most of them are part of competitions, most of them are confidential, so we are not allowed to show them. Basically, I would say that for 5 hours per week is okay, considering that every morning we have like kind of 10-15 minutes of chat with the project manager to discuss the image that we can or we cannot share. And then the second step is just talk with our directors, selecting the best images or sketches or ideas we can improve to share. I think the most important part of this process can be find a new way to talk about PixelFlakes or share the life inside the office. After we post the images, I'm always like study the inside and try to understand how we can improve increase the numbers, the algorithm on Instagram. I'm always like there studying the new updates and pushing the algorithm furthermore.
How does PixelFlakes help artists grow?
Yeah, the way PixelFlakes allows us to grow and improve as artists is you always have an art director you can call to help you, to give you good feedback on how your images are going, whether it's like your cameras or your sketches, lighting, composition, and they're always giving you good feedback. But they also trust you to find a creative process that works for you. We have annual meetings or every 6 months where they just go through like all the images that you've gone through. You choose your favorites and you talk through them, and then you see like how can you improve. Yeah, I found that to be quite helpful because it's helped me grow as an artist throughout the years. And ever since we implemented Miro, where you can see like live, everyone's just posting their images and giving like feedback, which gives you that feeling like being in school, where you just stick a picture on a whiteboard and then everyone's just got labeled, which is nice. Yeah, I think that's how, basically, the best way I've improved anyway.
Next, we'll talk to Dara, who is a studio manager. Let's find out what her responsibilities are.
Each responsibility that I have here at PixelFlakes has its own demands, and that varies from day to day. So I could come into the office and spend a whole day on visas. I could spend a whole day, scheduling and coordinating different projects, especially if we have a lot of projects going on at the same time. It could be a very heavy finance day with a lot of invoices and different things like that. So you really just kind of have to be on your toes and just kind of ready to jump in. Lauren and I always say that it's an ongoing to-do list, and if you ever get to a day where you've ticked everything off your to-do list, then you're done. Your job, the company's probably closed and you've completely finished, because it's just never going to happen. There's always something happening, and deadlines always change, and it's great when clients want more images and things like that, so you can have a set routine of this is what I'm going to do today, but you have to be kind of on call for clients' needs or for artist needs, especially as we have people working remotely and different things. So in terms of balancing different things, whatever that entails, from them coming over to visit and sorting out flights and hotels, and balancing that with people's personal lives and then the company schedule. So you get very involved in everyone on a personal level, and I think that's what I really enjoy about this role, is that there's this admin and business aspect to it, but there's also this very much of a social, people, cultural skills part. So I really like having that change throughout the day.
What do you like about working here?
So I think one thing that I really love about working here is the fact that they listen to our ideas and what we have to say. They don't impose things on us. I feel like you are free to express and experiment, and even if you fail, it's not a tragedy. You recover from it and we learn together. And I think that's very nice, that you have that freedom to express yourself and you are supported, and you get help, of course, from everyone, and that's really nice. It's amazing that as an artist you can express yourself like that. We're friends, we do things together, and it really helps, working with friends. It makes things different, and even connecting with the people that are working remotely, and then we talk to each other. It's nice, we can talk freely and everything, and it's a nice atmosphere to work in.
It was a great experience. Each studio is unique and has its approach to arch-viz. I'm sure you can learn a lot from the video, so don't forget to thank the team in the comments for sharing their experience and thoughts. It was a pleasure to visit the studio. See you soon in the next video. Bye bye!